So, I want to start off this video by apologising for a couple of things. First, there was no video on Monday. I apologise for that. Monday was the day I moved into my new place, which I'm staying at for the next 9 to 10 months or so while I study my next year at university. Monday was literally the day I moved in, and I'll try and put a picture on the screen now, a sort of panorama of how my room looked for the majority of Monday. And second of all, I apologise, again for the same reasons, if there's any over-the-top background noise in these videos for the next 10 months or so. Mainly due to the fact that I now live over the top of literally the busiest supermarket I think I've ever seen. Now, it's not a name brand supermarket, it's no Asda, Tesco's or anything like that. It's a small, I want to say independent supermarket, but that might just me being ignorant because I've never actually seen a brand, I've never seen this brand of supermarket before. And outside of my window, which I pretty much have to keep open at all times, otherwise this room gets incredibly hot, is the car park and stock sort of input, if that makes any sense. The sort of place where all the stock comes in. And there's forklifts, and there's reversing vans, reversing lorries, all that sort of thing. There's beeps, boops, cars, and people screaming at each other in languages I can't bloody understand. So, if any of that makes its way into the background noise of any of the videos, I apologise. So, on to the main topic of today's video. There's going to be some changes I think could be made to Warzone Firefight. I'm not going to be going over any of the bugs or anything like I did in my fancy little edited video the other day. I made that while I was moving out my room, so I couldn't really do any voice commentary for it, hence why it was a little different to what I'd normally do. But I'm going to go over some things that the community and I think should be changed in Warzone Firefight. The first one being the progression of reqs throughout matches of Warzone Firefight. It's incredibly slow. It can be great, don't get me wrong, sometimes I'm req level 5, req level 6 by round 3. But there are other times where I'm barely scraping req level 4 by round 3. And if you're expected to defend some cores or defend an armory with nothing but a battle rifle and a pistol, and not a great deal of power weapons or vehicles to choose from, especially against the Prometheans, it's damn near impossible. The Promethean waves, defending against Prometheans is insane, at least to me. Knights spawn way too frequently, and every enemy is an absolute bullet sponge. I found myself unloading full assault rifle clips onto a soldier, only for nothing to happen. It seems that he literally just soaks all the bullets up and goes, "Ha, another human down." It's like, what's going on there? I know that the beta was considered too easy and they wanted to ramp the difficulty up a little bit, but my word, did they go a little over the top with it. If they were to make the health and the shields of enemies similar to that of, say, heroic or legendary, because I've played legendary and my god, is it a lot easier to kill things than it is in Warzone Firefight. If they were to make them sort of that difficulty and remove some of the, if you've seen them on the Halo subreddit, the absolute bullshit aimbots that some of these units can do, then we'd have a much more balanced game mode, and a game mode that, while some people would find it incredibly easy, as some people find Warzone Firefight now to be incredibly easy, it would benefit the majority of players who fit a little bit lower than, say, the HCS Pro tier, but who aren't utter scrublords. You know, I don't have a graph or anything to show sort of what ranks the average ranks are, but I can assume that if the ranking system's doing its job properly, gold, platinum would be sort of where the majority lies. And if they are the ones complaining that it's too difficult, then it needs to be toned down, even if just a slight bit. Even if you tone, say, the health down by 10% on everything, then just see whether that fixes everything. Small changes, small minor adjustments are what's needed. We don't need a full revamp of the Warzone Firefight system. We just need a couple of small changes for now to see, and then let it sit for a while to see whether the community prefers it like that. Now, if anybody saw my Twitter post, which I highly doubt, I gave a really quick first impressions on Warzone Firefight, and pretty much all my tweet said was that it was a rec sync, an abhorrent rec sync. It's obvious to see that Warzone Firefight is designed to be incredibly difficult to get you to spend as many recs as possible trying to win. And at this point in time, it feels, not just to myself, but quite to the community as well. I'm going to go to a Reddit post here by a guy called The Shrekkening, and he said, "Recs should be added as an advantage, not a requirement. As it stands, it's impossible to complete without vehicles or a full 8-man party." And he's not wrong. The win-to-loss ratio in Warzone Firefight is ridiculous. It gets incredibly difficult, especially when there are 3 Warden Eternals tucked away in the back of a base somewhere, with stuff constantly spawning in front of them. And he makes a good point in that recs seem to be a requirement for Warzone Firefight, rather than an advantage. And I'm going to go with my standard approach here, which if you've seen my rec system video you'll understand, that it feels like they are using Warzone Firefight as a way to get people to use more and more and more recs. Why? So that those who buy recs, I'm not saying they're forcing people to buy them, but those people who buy them willingly will buy a lot more. This just seems to add to 343's plan, or at least Microsoft's plan, whichever of them it may be, of pushing people, those that are willing to buy recs, to buy as many recs as possible. I mean, Warzone Firefight just came out, and people are using a lot of recs to play it because it's the featured game mode at the moment. And then they go and put rec packs on sale to try and, sneakily get people to buy more rec packs, thinking, oh yeah, I've used up loads of recs in Firefight, now they're a little bit cheaper. They're still ridiculously overpriced, if you ask me. At least from real world money. We're not going to get on rec points. But it still seems that they're just using Warzone Firefight and all the content updates as a way to shift more rec packs. Now, I can understand that rec packs are never going to go away. I don't think we will see another Halo game, at least a mainline, Halo 6, Halo 7, without rec packs. And we need to accept them, but 343 and Microsoft also need to make them a bit more digestible for the larger community, because there's a lot of backlash, an awful lot of backlash. And a good way they could do this is by not just having armor variants and things like that in rec packs. Make ways for people to get armor, like special armors that mean something, outside of just an RNG system. Thank you very much for watching. My name's been Classy Ham. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like or a comment, and remember, stay classy.